So as I mentioned, my name's Amy Peterson. I'm a co-founder and CEO of a company called Rebel Nell. We are a social enterprise in Detroit that exists to employ, educate, and empower women who are transitioning out of homelessness. We hire directly out of the shelter, provide them with all the tools that they need to help transition into the traditional workforce and become really toward the one step closer to self-sufficiency. And how we do that, we actually make jewelry out of graffiti once it falls off the walls in Detroit. I know, right? It's the weirdest. If you were to tell me this is what I was going to do with my life 5 years ago, I would have laughed you out of a room. But yes, Nicole Bopp is wearing our beautiful, we custom made those for her. They're all my earrings. We have a booth, so you check us out. But my journey here was it was a crazy story. Mine started at the age of 14. I wanted to work in baseball. That was where my heart was. You don't hear that story from many young women. And I went to law school, business school, with that sole goal of being in a man's world and, kind of fighting to get in. After that, I applied to work for free for every team that's out there. There's 30 major league teams. I did not apply to the Yankees. That is a true story. I couldn't in good conscience. I just couldn't. But every other team, and I have rejection letters from all of them, and I had 3 rejection letters from the Tigers, and then I finally got an opportunity to come in and work for free 12 years ago. That's what brought me to this great city of Detroit. So I moved here. I moved downtown in 2008. I think there were maybe 3 people that lived downtown in addition to me. And long story short, I was able to fulfill my dream and really climb my way up in the Tigers. I was an attorney for them for the past 8 out of the 11 years I was there, and was so happy and grateful that I got to pursue that dream, despite so many people telling me no, despite a guy that was actually one of my mentors, but then finally turning to me one day and saying, honey, your best bet is to marry a player. You name it, I heard it, and I know that's not what this panel is about. So long story short,
we should have another summit all about that.
Yeah, it's a great story. So long story short, that's my story. That's why I'm sitting up here. Is I took a giant leap of faith. I actually started the company 5 years ago, but left the corporate world as of August to run it full time, and I'm really motivated by passion for this project because it certainly isn't financial. I left my salary, the comfort of the 401k, all of that stuff in the past, but I really believe in the mission to improving the lives of the women that we do employ, and I want to make this a nationally recognized brand to come out of Detroit. Thanks. Hey.
Okay, my turn. Well, it's an honor to sit up here with Amy because I have admired her work for many, many years. My name is April Boyle, and I'm the founder and executive director of Build Institute. We're also a social enterprise, nonprofit economic development organization that empowers women and people of color to start businesses in the city of Detroit and beyond. We launched as part of D-Hive. Anybody remember D-Hive? Okay, any Build grads in the room? Couple. Yeah, awesome. Yay. So started as part of D-Hive because at the time there just weren't many resources for what we call community entrepreneurs, lifestyle, brick and mortar, passion, mom and pop, social enterprise, micro enterprise, all of those wonderful things. My story is the opposite of Amy's. I was born and raised in the city of Detroit to a teenage mother and a Vietnam vet father. Mental illness, addiction, eviction, lots of things in my childhood. I went to 20 different schools by the time I graduated from high school. But I always had a passion for the city of Detroit. I got married and had kids pretty much right away after I wasn't even finished graduating from college yet. I went to Wayne State University. Woo-hoo? Anyone? Okay, thank you. Worked my way through college. It took me a very long time to graduate. And the only person at my graduation was my firstborn child, Carter Boyle, who is now a sophomore in college at Loyola University in Los Angeles, Loyola Marymount. And I have 3 boys, Carter, Graham, and Rowan. So my journey, I don't know how I got here, to be honest with you. I started a yoga business, so I ran that for a little while. I was in a mom band called the My Dolls. Anybody? So I had a little bit of success with that band. I helped transition that band from a mom bar band to a kids band, and we were going to try to make that a business. So we played libraries and stuff. We were on a reality TV show called Gene Simmons' Family Jewels. It's still, yeah, yes, I know, and yeah, it's not something I talk about often. It's a little embarrassing. But you can still find it out on the internet somewhere. I think it's called Detroit Rock Mommies. And then we opened up for the B-52s at Motor City Casino, which is awesome, and I was the singer. So all of these things brought me to kind of where I am today, and I was a stay-at-home mom for 12 years. And maybe you heard the snippet, but transitioning back into the workforce after raising my children and putting my family first was quite a transition for me. And in the last 6 years, I went from working part-time and starting Beehive to founding Build Institute, and basically running that and growing it. And like Amy, I want Build to be a national or international brand that helps underserved entrepreneurs get what they need to get started and grow and thrive.
You know what I love about this summit? I think the coolest thing to me, and everyone's sharing their stories, is nobody's story is the same, which is awesome. So no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, no matter what path you've taken or what your upbringing is, you can still do whatever you want to do. And I think that is so cool. So anyway, and we're done. So we can talk about financing your passion and your dreams in motherhood. So okay, I can talk even just how we started Rebel Nell. You know, so many of you hear how companies start in their garages. Well, we were very similar to that. My business partner and I started in our apartments. It would look like drug deals in the middle of the night. We were just like trading parts of jewelry. It was so weird, but she works her day job, I work mine, and so I would be in charge of cutting the metal, and then she'd swing by, and in a brown paper bag, I'd drop her the stuff out of my window, and she'd pick it up, and then the next day it would be under my doorstep, and it just looked so shady, but all it was like, we were just like, she would do certain parts that she was really good at, but we thought it was really important for us to know how to make the jewelry first. Like, I firmly believe, like, you can't be the CEO, you can't tell people what to do if you don't know how to do it yourself. I'm a big believer in that. In fact, someone came to me a couple weeks ago. They wanted to start this really high-end t-shirt company. I mean, like $250 for a white t-shirt. And I said, that's great, but do you know how to make the t-shirt? And he said, no, I have no idea. I just know what the quality feels like. I said, spend some time, get a sewing machine, teach yourself how to make it. You just need to know. Like, you need to know what you're looking at. So that's how we did it. We started first making the product, learning what we wanted, beta testing, prototyping, and then we had our very first launch of a party on, the rooftop of my apartment. Nicole was actually there. And just to test it, like to get that concept, but that gave us a little seed money. We then did a pitch competition, and it took all of my nerves to get and pitch for 4 minutes, and I was terrified. But from that, we were able to win by a narrow margin because it was so competitive. But we won $800, and I thought we were rolling in it. And then from that $800, we
Is that a soup event?
It was a Detroit soup event, which is now
I'm going to talk about that,
event.
So just hold on.
Yes, it was a build. Yes, now it's a build event, and it's a great thing. So then from that, we bought more materials, we made more jewelry, and then we launched at Dally in the Alley. If you don't know about Dally in the Alley, it's a really fun festival in Detroit, and you need to go. It's really fun. So that was our first time, but that was also a community event. So from the $800, we were able to turn it into $8,000. So that was a big jump for us. And then we did a Kickstarter. So again, all of these things that I'm talking about. So after our Kickstarter, we raised $25,000, and that was when we hired our first 3 women out of the shelter. This is why I wasn't on the finance panel, because that was not a smart move. But it wasn't a smart move to do a Kickstarter at the end of the year. When people ask me some of the best advice, I didn't have enough expenses to offset that income. So guess who got taxed on all of that Kickstarter income? I did. So that's word to the wise. So long story short, but that's what I think is an important takeaway from all of those is how much you can get from community investment. All of that was through people who believed in what we were doing, through support of coming to our crazy pop-up just to check out this crazy idea that Amy had and how many fell in love with the product. And then you go out and it's not your family and friends, but it is a community event and you have a Detroit story. Okay, so do people vibe with it? Then they're investing in you by just buying your product. And then by third, doing a Kickstarter, and then you're expanding your reach. So that's kind of how I and my business partner financed our dream for starting Rebel Nell.
Thank you, Amy. So I think what Amy's talking about here is bootstrapping. It's a really important thing to do, not only to get some revenue into your business, but also for proof of concept. So you want to make sure that people want what your idea is, what product you're selling. And starting small and taking these incremental steps is a kind of low risk way of doing that. So before starting Build, or kind of simultaneously with Dehive, I was also part of and launched a pop-up restaurant called Komodo Kitchen. Anybody been to Komodo Kitchen? Okay. I recently just signed that over to my partner because I just don't have any time to do it. But same thing, we did it very bootstrapping. We've not put one penny of our own money into it, but it was really important for us to do proof of concept to make sure that there was a market for the food and for the events that we were putting on. But so Amy, Rebel Nell did Detroit Soup. Anybody been to a Detroit Soup in the audience? Okay.
Put it on your list of things to do.
November 19th
really fun.
Is the last one of the year. It's a citywide, 4 presentations from local projects or businesses, 4 minutes and 4 questions from the audience. And there will be, whoever you get to vote, you get some food. There will be a holiday marketplace of Build grads, similar to what you're seeing out here. There are some, Build grads selling their wares out here as well. So you can get a kickstart on your local holiday shopping. Please support local small businesses. They need you. The winner will get the pot of money, and I'm hoping I can get Portia from Chemical to match the pot. And so our whole mission, my whole mission in life, is to get as much money into the hands of women business owners and people of color business owners, because we have frankly been cut out of the economic systems for many, many years. Many of us do not have high-powered networks. We don't know severely wealthy individuals and have those networks. So I'm on a mission to grow those networks for women, for myself too, but for other women. And we do a lot of things with community investing, so Detroit Soup is one of those. So you can practice investing in businesses by coming to a Detroit Soup. We also run the Kiva program locally, so has anybody ever invested on Kiva? Awesome. $25 at a time you can put into the platform. It's 0 interest and 0 fees for the borrower, but your money gets paid back to you and you can re-lend it over and over and over again. So it gives you the power to invest in and vote with your dollars the kind of business and business owner you want to see in your community. So I have about $200 on the platform, and it's been lent out over and over again to the tune of like $1,500. So that is also a very low risk way for you to practice investing in other businesses, and it's very easy to do. And then we're also launching in 2019, Build Institute, a pay-it-forward funding pool where each of our 8-week cohorts will be there will be one winner from each cohort that will get this early stage seed capital to start their business. To do some things like Amy talked about, proof of concept. You get $1,000 and then you go do some markets. You get some feedback from your customers. You make some mistakes early on. Then you pivot. But those are really important opportunities, and Build can help you do that through our Build Bazaar and pilot program as well.
The one nice thing I want to say about Soup too, and what I've always appreciated about the business model that Soup has, is they take the technology out of it, so it's just the passion of the entrepreneur, which levels the playing field, and you don't have to be technologically savvy. You just have to be passionate about your business, and I think that is so important about the business
No
model.
fancy PowerPoints,
Nothing.
none of that. So.
I had another comment too. I don't remember. Oh, I know what I was going to say. The other thing I did too is, I know we all have concepts, and some people wonder, like, when do you take the leap? I don't know if I can stay in this job anymore, what to do. And part of the financing was I stayed in my job with the Tigers for 5 of the years that I had with Rebel Nell. And so I think that was also, you're financing yourself while you can get your baby off the ground. And at some point in time, you will likely take a leap, and you will have to leave a lot behind. I've left still a ton behind, but I was able to get it to a place where you do some soul searching, and there's a big price that you can pay for your happiness, and it doesn't always come with money. Turns out I'm a hell of a lot happier and taking this leap and doing what I really love every day that I haven't even missed the money. So that's actually been really shocking to me. So yeah, that's just another, when we're talking about financing stuff, that's one strategy to consider.
Yeah. Questions? Sure.
So first question, if you aren't on that day, luckily there is a ton of pitch competitions. A lot of seed. Yeah, good Lord. Keep going.
It depends. That is the, I say that word.
But if you don't like
times.
pitching, there's other options too. So I want to be clear about that. Some people just aren't good at pitching. They're very uncomfortable public speaking. However, I would challenge you and just try and push that as much as you can. If it's a fear, because the reality is, and that may be the case, and you may end up hiring a CEO down the road who can do that better, but if it's something you think you have or can work on, because no one is going to communicate or be as passionate about your job as you are, and that won't come across from somebody else who's just kind of coming in at the end. So that's the only thing. But again, if that doesn't work out, it doesn't for everybody. There are other things out there where it's merely an application. Kiva's a wonderful platform for that as well. So there are other things out there.
And I would just say everybody's path is so different, and it also depends on what sector your business is in. And so to answer a question like that would be impossible. I mean, we can give you our experience and encourage you to continue, but it just depends on your life circumstances, what type of business you're in, how long you can gut it out. Some people say, I'm going to give myself 6 months. Some people say, I'm going to give myself 6 years. So it's not a great, I say entrepreneurship is an art. It's not a science. It's not a math problem where 1 + 1 = 2. It is difficult. It is 2 steps forward, 9 steps back sometimes within the same day, actually. And that's why it's so very important to have groups like this, because you need a support network around you. You need to be able to ask questions to people who've been there before, to get encouragement, to maybe tell somebody to be brutally honest with you and say it's probably time to throw in the towel or change your idea, or yeah.
I think that's really fair, and as happy as I am now, I will say, like, every single day I go through the phase of, like, I want to vomit.
What have I
want
done?
to shut it down.
I should kind of go back to work.
This is awesome. We're killing it. Oh, crap. What just happened? All right. Well, goodbye, everybody. I mean, like, that's a day. That's like from 9 to, or what, there's no real, like, you don't sleep much, but I think I found, what I meant was by the happiness is I found the fire that I was missing that kind of went out. The fire in me is back. And that's what it is. Like, that's the best way to articulate it. But to get to your second question, if you had $1,000, take a build class.
Yes. I did not pay her to say that.
No, but I mean, and I would focus on the education of yourself and like what it's going to take. Again, going back to like the theme of taking care of yourself, figuring that out. Like there's a lot of missing, or there's a lot of dots that need to be connected, and so a class like build is where I would go. Yeah.
Okay, so I have two questions. So the first question is, what advice would you give to someone that has a unique business? Doesn't necessarily have like a product, like like for example, me, I have a soul-based business where I cater to the inner person and their needs in regards to wellness. And so I throw these events that are like soul-based, like five sensory type experiences, and they sell out really quick. So now I'm at a point where it's like, okay, sponsorship and partnership, you know. So how would you give someone advice when it comes to financing and funding a unique business that's not necessarily trendy, where funders and investors are like, yeah, let's invest in this tech company or this green company, you know, especially when it comes to partnering, you know, partnerships, financial partnerships. So you give some clarity on that. And then the other piece is for the Detroit soup, you said? Is the application process done for that?
No. Go to the website, Detroit Soup, I think it's .org. Oh my God. Yes. Or or .com. Buildinstitute.org. That one I do know. We just took over operations for Detroit Soup at the beginning of this year, so forgive me for that. But yeah, please try to apply for that. And then also Kiva as well. I think that could be a really interesting way to get the word out, because you really just have to make your case, have a great story, how are you contributing to your community, and then also understanding what you need the money for. You have to be very crystal clear about what you're going to use the money for. Okay,
Thank you. And there's a bunch of different soups. They have different neighborhoods.
Neighborhood soups and
it's
citywide
throughout the year.
soups, yep, and throughout the year. But the big citywide where you're going to get a bigger pot of money and a bigger audience is November 19th. It's a Sunday at the Jam Handy.
And on back to your question, I mean, I have a friend who's also a mentor. She just sold her service business. You know, it's similar in concept for like, I don't know, a couple multi-million-dollars. So there is something tangible there for investors, but it's just so long as it's like run like a business and you can show the returns. That's what makes it appealing to investors across the board. Even for like, we just got our first round of investors. Yes, they're interested in the human capital because we're a social enterprise. They want that, but at the end of the day, they're not going to give me a penny unless they're going to get a return on their dollar. So that goes across all businesses, including yours. Somebody had a question. Yeah. Yep.
For people who, or for businesses who want to start pitching and haven't really started that yet, what advice do you have for like their first time? What things should they say that would attract people to invest in them?
Soup has videos, right? They have, that's a great place to start, again, because Soup doesn't require you to have
The polish.
the polish. You don't need a business plan. You just need a concept. You just need an idea.
It's a great place to
Yeah.
practice.
Yeah.
Because it's a very nurturing and supportive audience versus a different pitch situation where it's cutthroat and competitive. Some of those you really have to have your shit together. You know, really nice slides, and you have to know your numbers inside and out, and you have to be prepared to answer any question. So I would agree with Amy that there's lots of content online. You can Google it. And then there's lots of support, you know, pitch prep things, workshops. Build will help you as well through a class just to really understand knowing your business model, who your competition is, who your target market is. You have to know all of those concepts and where you're going.
A question about like partnerships. One, what would you look for in a partner or an investor? And then just how do you go about, I guess, like splitting profits? Who does what? Like, what does that look like when you're first starting out? Is that something you can talk to a financial advisor about on how to go about doing that?
Partnerships are really hard. you're basically married to that person, and you have to be able to talk about everything with that person, and also they need to know everything about your financials and vice versa. And it's not just you, but it's your family as well, your husband, your kids, all of that. So the trust factor is enormous. And then you have to plan for if things don't go well, just like in a marriage, thinking about, I mean, we don't want to think about it, but divorce or death. But unfortunately, when you're in a business, the legal partnership, you have to think about how do I get out of this if it goes terribly wrong? Maybe I'm being very negative, but I was in a partnership. One person left early, and it was just very difficult.
Yeah, I actually will echo everything that April says. They're challenging. It can be done. I have an amazing business partner. That's a partnership, and that is a marriage. It really is. And we joke because she is a lot like my husband, so that maybe there's some weird thing going on there. But that's I'm sure Freud has an opinion, but she's amazing. But that was also really lucky. I've seen a lot of businesses crumble because of the partnership, because it's not necessarily just the good times. It's when you get to that nitty gritty stuff that's hard to push through, and every business will go through. I've yet to meet even the most successful people haven't gone through a oh shit moment, and multiple. Not just one, but like multiple. So, finding that partner, because then essentially, even with a funding partner, they're going to want equity. So that means that now they're also sleeping in the bed too, right? So it's you just got to have somebody and get an attorney to help you with your operating agreement. That I think is, because then you can plan for future events. If someone bails, you can talk through it all, and the earlier you do that, the better. Yeah.
I've always had like one foot in corporate and one foot in being creative and inspirational, and I feel bipolar, stretching the two all the time. So I've reached the point where I know that something has to change. What advice would you give to yourself, knowing what you know now? I'm much older. I'm in my mid-30s, so it's not like I'm just starting out in my 20s. What advice would you give to yourself now at this point, knowing what you know from before just starting out? If you were to say, okay, I'm starting tomorrow, or I know I need to make a drastic change, like what is something that you wish you would have known, or what you would tell someone who's kind of in the space that I am in right now in my mid-30s and having experienced corporate life but still being a creative?
I was gonna say, I think that was kind of my life too, right? I spent 5 years, I was still working as an attorney for the Tigers, but I had started Rebel Nell. And so, every year just going a little more deeper, or a little bit deeper into Rebel Nell, until finally, that flame, or for me, the people ask, like, when did you know? You guys know what I mean when I say, like, there's that tug. And that tug, at some point in time, you can fight it, you can hit it, you can tell it to go away. But for me, that tug was so, I couldn't fight it anymore. And I feel like you really just have to trust your gut, trust what's going on in your life, your instinct. But your instinct takes all of that into perspective, right? It takes, like, what's your cash flow look like? For me, I had to save a boatload of money. And that was what I dedicated, like, the past 2 years to doing. So it was like fighting that tug, but also knowing I'm working towards that tug. But I squirreled away so much, or as much, not so much, that sounds much more glamorous than what it actually was. But I was squirreled away what I was able to do, to squirrel away. Then that helped me make the jump. And that's just what I needed to do to get to where I had that place. And start figuring out, so on the creative side, if you know what it is you want to do, start really honing in on that. And start testing the waters. If it is launching a business, try doing a soup. Soups are in the night, at nighttime, or there are other things that you can do. Start hanging around people who are in this space. Once you put it out in the universe, it's amazing how the universe responds. I didn't buy it until I did it myself.
And I'm not sure what your corporate gig is, but okay. Right.
Oh yeah, that is night and day.
So I would say, at some, do you want to, we only regret things many times that we didn't do. So I would encourage you to go for it. You could probably always go back to claims. But if you never try, what's that saying with Michael Jordan? he only made so many of the shots that he didn't take, or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you know, there's no reward without risk. And exactly, right? That's such good advice. I love that. So,
Yeah.
but you want to do it, you want to be prepared, and you know, like Amy said, maybe you spend the next year squirreling a bunch of money away if you can, and then quit and give yourself a year or two to go for it, and then go back. So that would be my advice.
And the fear of failure is real. Like, I'm terrified. And I was terrified, and that's probably what took me so long to do this. Every day, I'm afraid.
The fear never goes away.
It never goes
I'm
away.
Still,
Yeah.
like starting this nonprofit, and I'm like, oh my God, what did I do? And I have, you know, 6 full-time people depending on me, and if I don't raise the money, and you know.
Yeah, or if I fail, oh my God, I'm going to be a laughing stock of the city. I mean, nobody cares that much. You know, it took me a while to get here, but I'm very comfortable sitting here saying to you, I'd rather try and fail than wonder what if.
Never try at all.
Exactly.
I totally agree.
And if it took me, like I said, 2 years to get there, but that's where I am right now.
One more question or no?
We are good. You guys
Oh,
are
okay. I thought.
But you know, basically, you guys can talk to it personally for a minute as we're headed out.
Okay.
It's going to be a little while longer. I think April's headed to, because we're all working moms, head to a soccer game. The weather does not shit all over her in the next 5 minutes. But please feel free to ask more questions as we move in.
Yeah.
Kind of wrap it up, guys. We're like almost to the end.
Thanks, guys.
So you want us to wrap it up? Okay.
Oh. It was a pleasure sitting here with all of you today.
Yes, come visit the build table in the back. Amy and I are sharing a table.
And I'm Amy at rebelnell.com. If you ever need to chat, get drinks, hug, cry, I'm good at all those things.
April at buildinstitute.org. That one I know as well. So, all right, well, thank you all. It was a pleasure, and thank you for picking our panel.